This is the opening shot from László Nemes's 2015 film Saul, or Son of Saul. It is a long, meticulously choreographed one-shot, 2 minutes and 37 seconds long. The first frame we see is out of focus. We can make out some trees, maybe some people scattered across the image. It almost feels uncomfortable to look at. After the sound of a whistle, people start to move, and into the foreground comes Saul, the protagonist, who stops perfectly in frame and in focus. These first moments set up the visual philosophy Nemes and his DP, Matthias Erdely, follow for the rest of the film. From this moment on, the camera will stay almost always around Saul, hardly ever moving away from him, even during some of the spectacular set pieces that would come later. But why did they agree on this visual style? How does it make us, the spectators, feel? And how do they achieve making us feel like that? How does one treat a setting that has been shot over and over again and bring a new perspective to it? The Holocaust was one of the, if not the most, infamous genocides of the 20th century. We all know what happened to the millions of people who were forcefully removed from their homes and sent to concentration camps across Europe. So Nemes chooses not to focus on the bigger picture, the overall nature of the war going on at the time. His view fixates purely on the man at the center of the story and what he is going through. As a Sonderkommando, who was basically a prisoner forced to aid in the disposal of bodies from the chambers, Saul is constantly under threat, not only from his superiors, but also from his compatriots. The oppression he feels is heightened by how close we follow him, always observing at no more than an arm's length, seeing every move and feeling every emotion. We don't feel the separation typical in voyeuristic cinema. Our gaze is forced upon him. We might let our eyes wander throughout the frame, looking for more information, but always ultimately come back to him. This sense of claustrophobia is aided by the narrower aspect ratio, which seems to lock him into the frame, metaphorically imprisoning him on the screen. With this close camera work, though, comes a byproduct. By following Saul up close and focusing in on him, in some spaces the background falls out of focus, blurring into a mix of shapes and colors that borders occasionally on the abstract. As we can't make out what's going on in the background, or off screen for that matter, we are forced to imagine, listen, and put the pieces together. The horror in the camps is sometimes constructed by us while we watch, trying to make sense of the mess. The heavy use of blur is also used as a metaphor for the actions that Saul takes. He is often forced to comply and sometimes oppress those of his own kind, while looking out for himself and his objectives, which, without going into too much of a spoiler, entails seeking a rabbi between the prisoners in order to conduct a proper burial for his son, all whilst trying to aid them in the planning of an escape. The dichotomy between individual and collective goals becomes, in many cases, a moral dilemma, forcing Saul to choose between two equally horrific situations. The consequences of his actions, or in this film, what goes on in the background, the line separating what's good and bad, right and wrong, or useful and useless, is subsequently blurred. The rules aren't set in stone, though. There are several moments throughout the movie in which they are disregarded, but never in vain. 11 minutes into the story, Shaul comes across his son. Even though he initially survived the gas chambers, officials end his life by suffocating him, all in plain view of Shaul, who can only watch helplessly, as he knows saying anything will also get him killed. In this instance, the camera cuts away to what Shaul is seeing, breaking the visual style we were just getting used to, so that the image becomes even more jarring to us. The official orders the doctors present to conduct an autopsy, and after he leaves, Shaul enters the room, taking his son with him to talk to the doctor. After being with him for the opening 10 minutes, hardly speaking to anybody and just trying to keep alive, he has a conversation, albeit a short one. He asks the doctor for some time with his son, and in this moment of connection, when he opens up and talks to someone properly for the first time, he leaves the frame completely so that we can focus on the doctor and empathize with him. There are a few more examples of this technique throughout the movie, but I've already spoiled it enough, so go and watch it if you haven't. It goes by in a flash and is gripping from the very moment it starts. Ardelli's camera work is measured and respectful, and although violent at times, never loses its elegance, always treating the characters in the film as humans and not statistics, as they deserve to be portrayed. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, maybe consider liking and subscribing.